This is Psalms 80, verses 7 through 19 from the New Revised Standard Version. If you want to follow along, you can find it on page 541 of your Pew Bible in the Old Testament. And as you may have guessed by now, this isn't one of those how great thou art type of readings. This is, we're going down for the last time. Oh Lord, please save us. Restore us, O God of hosts. Let your face shine that we may be saved. You brought a vine out of Egypt. You drove out the nations and planted it. You cleared the ground for it. It took deep root and filled the land. The mountains were covered with its shade. The mighty cedars with its branches. It set out its branches to the sea, and its shoots to the river. Why then have you broken down its walls, so that all who pass along the way pluck its fruit? The boar from the forest ravages it, and all that move in the field feed on it. Turn again, O God of hosts. Look down from heaven and see. Have regard for this vine, the stock that your right hand planted. They have burned it with fire. They've cut it down. May they perish at the rebuke of your countenance. But let your hand be upon the one at your right hand, the one whom you made strong for yourself. Then he will never turn back from you. Give us life, and we will call on your name. Restore us, O Lord of hosts. Let your face shine, that we may be saved.
And stompers and clappers and singers. I think if we rehearse that for a while, we could really make some headway with it.
Yes.
Like maybe for the picnic, we could rehearse it a few times before then, and yeah, it's a good song. Pieces of what Dan read. Restore us, O God of hosts, let your face shine, that we might be saved. You brought a vine out of Egypt. You cleared the ground for it. It took deep root. O God, look down from heaven and see. Have regard for this vine. They have burned it with fire. They have cut it down. But let your hand be upon the one at your right hand. Give us life, and we will call on your name. Restore us, O Lord, God of hosts. Let your face shine, that we might be saved. Looking for different headlines to do all my sermons on this month. This one hit me when I read the digital edition of the New York Times on Monday morning. Nearly 10 years after Jenny Stepien's father was killed, the man who received her father's donated heart traveled from New Jersey to Pennsylvania to walk her down the aisle. See why that hit me? After the wedding, Miss Stepien said, I was just thinking, my dad is here with us, and this man is here with us because of us. This story began in September 2006 when her father, Michael Stepien, was walking home from his job as head chef at a restaurant. Mr. Stepien was 53. He was cutting through an alley when he was robbed at gunpoint by a 16-year-old who shot him in the head at close range. As her father lay dying at a hospital, the family decided to accept the inevitable and donate his organs, Miss Stepien said. In nearby New Jersey, Arthur Thomas was in congestive heart failure, and then word arrived that his doctors had found the heart. He decided after the surgery he would write a thank you to the family. From there, a relationship was forged through monthly phone calls, emails, and letters. But the families had not thought about meeting in person until Jenny Stepien became engaged. One of my first thoughts in the following week was, who will walk me down the aisle? Miss Stepien said. I was thinking, oh my gosh, it would be so incredible to have a piece of my father there. Miss Stepien wrote to Mr. Thomas to ask, and he said yes, but only after running the proposition by his daughter, who said, I think it's a wonderful idea. The wedding took place in the church where Miss Stepien's parents were married. Mr. Thomas and the bride formally met only one day earlier, when he suggested she grip his wrist where his pulse is strongest. I thought that would be the best way for her to feel close to her dad. Mr. Thomas said, that's her father's heart beating. I felt wonderful about bringing her dad's heart to Pittsburgh. Mr. Thomas said, if I had to, I would have walked. It's a great story, isn't it? And it's a reminder that life is not by accident sometimes. Miracles occur and prayers are answered, but I only think that prayers get answered when we choose ourselves to act. We don't just sit in a room and pray. We sit in a room and pray and then go out and act. And that's what the family did when they donated organs. They acted on a prayer they didn't even know about. The family of Michael Stepien was in shock because he was shot in the head walking home from work. And he lay dying in the hospital, but they managed to pull themselves together and make that wonderful act of prayer come alive and deciding to donate his organs. In a nearby state, Arthur Thomas is a father of 4 and is days away from death. He's so sick, he's at the top of the transplant list. And out of this tragedy for the Stepien family comes new life for the Thomas family when he receives Michael Stepien's heart. O God, look down from heaven and see. Have regard for this vine. They have burned it with fire, cut it down. But let your hand be upon the one at your right hand and give us life. Tragic shooting, cutting down a life, is somehow changed to regard for this vine through the Stepien's family's quick decision. And then, O God, grant us life. And what life is given? Resurrected life. The expertise of the minds and hands of the medical staff, and the courage and perseverance of the Thomas family, all integral parts in the resurrection of life, not just for Arthur Thomas who gets a new heart, but also for Michael Stepien. One heart that beats a life into continued existence for 2 men and 2 families. So this story of transplant and family connection is heartwarming enough all on its own. But put on top of that actual transplant story, that decision by Michael Stepien's daughter to have Mr. Thomas walk her down the aisle. And suddenly we're in the middle of God's sanctifying grace poured out for everyone. The ultimate father-daughter bonding moment of walking the bride down the aisle isn't lost to Jenny Stepien the day her dad is shot. She didn't know that then, but it wasn't lost at all. Through the resurrecting power of love and hope and healing, her dad's heart beating inside Arthur Thomas is there on her special day to walk her down the aisle. What a great real-life story to bring this song to life. Restore us, O Lord God of hosts. Restore us. Let your face shine that we might be saved. New and old life. Hope and healing when everything seems lost. A new beginning and new relationships that are forged through the grace and strength God gives us when times are hard. And we need to see nothing more than God's face shining so that we can somehow find salvation. Now, we may not have the opportunity to be involved in life-saving events. Some of us have. We may not have the opportunity to be involved in a life-altering event of the scale and magnitude of Jenny Stephen's wedding with Arthur Thomas as her escort. But we all know this to be the case. You don't need me to tell you. We do have the opportunity to change lives every day. Choosing to do something or not doing something can be a life-altering choice. And we can change lives, good and bad, every day. So if we want to change lives for the good, we need to ask God, as this psalm does, to enter into our lives with us, enter into our journey with us. O God, Lord of hosts, let your face shine that we might be saved. If we follow the advice of the psalmist and we first and foremost call out to God for our own restoration, our own salvation, then we can be changed and we can be people of change. It requires the action on our part of at least crying out to God and asking for help. I think this psalm and actually this story give us today challenges to live into what God has for us. The psalmist challenges us first to seek God's restoration in our lives. The psalmist challenges us to allow God to shine in and through us. The psalmist challenges us to work with every beat of our hearts to offer love and hope to others. Restore us, O God of hosts. Let your face shine, that we might be saved. Amen.